Two security officers yank the poised black woman from her first-class seat without warning. "We need you to deplane immediately. Your presence is making passengers uncomfortable," the taller guard announces loudly enough for everyone to hear. Confusion flashes across her face, quickly replaced by a calculating calm that goes unnoticed by the crew. Diana Matthews, dressed in an impeccable navy suit with not a thread out of place, rises with deliberate dignity. Passengers stare as security escorts her down the aisle. Some record on phones. Others pretend to be absorbed in magazines or window views, complicit in their silence. "I've done nothing wrong," she states, voice steady despite the public humiliation. "That's for security to determine," snaps the head flight attendant, satisfaction evident in her thin smile. Diana's eyes narrow imperceptibly. She doesn't resist, but something shifts behind them. A decision forms. Little do they know this inconvenient passenger holds the key to their airline's entire future. Diana Matthews arrives at Chicago O'Hare 3 hours before her flight to San Francisco. She moves with practiced efficiency, dressed in tailored black pants and a silk blouse, comfortable yet unmistakably high-end. Despite her exhaustion after a week of investor meetings, satisfaction radiates from her. Travel Secure, her airline cybersecurity company, is on the verge of something transformative. At the priority check-in counter, Diana presents her boarding pass and ID. The agent glances at her first-class ticket, then back at Diana with poorly concealed surprise. "I'll need to see additional identification," the agent says, despite the platinum member card already visible. Diana produces her passport without comment. She's used to this dance. "Oh, I see you are platinum." The agent's tone shifts completely. "My apologies, Ms. Matthews, you're all set." Diana collects her documents with a neutral smile. These microaggressions aren't worth her energy today. She has bigger concerns. Tomorrow she'll finalize a $3 million investment deal with United Airlines Tech Innovation Fund. Her revolutionary security platform could transform airline cybersecurity, and United doesn't yet know she's the deciding factor on which carrier gets first implementation. In the first-class lounge, Diana notices the sidelong glances as she takes a seat. When she requests assistance with her boarding pass from a lounge attendant, the woman immediately assumes she's lost. "The main terminal is just—" the attendant begins. Diana interrupts by displaying her boarding pass. "I'm in the correct lounge, I just need clarification on the boarding time." The attendant's face flushes. "Of course, my apologies." Diana makes a quick call to Marcus, her CFO. "Everything's set for tomorrow's signing. United doesn't know what they're getting." They share a knowing laugh before ending the call. Diana notices a flight attendant. Her name tag reads Karen Whitmore, watching her with thinly veiled suspicion from across the lounge. During boarding, flight attendant Whitmore greets white passengers with warm smiles but gives Diana a curt nod. As Diana settles into her first-class seat, she overhears Whitmore whispering to another attendant. "How did she afford first class?" Whitmore murmurs, not bothering to lower her voice enough. Diana pretends not to hear, focusing instead on her upcoming presentation. The stakes are too high to let small minds distract her. The airline staff plant seeds of their own destruction with every dismissive glance and whispered judgment. Pre-flight service begins as the last passengers settle in. Diana politely requests sparkling water when Whitmore passes with the beverage cart. The flight attendant nods without making eye contact, then proceeds to serve everyone else in the first-class cabin. 10 minutes pass. Diana notices the businessman across the aisle received his scotch immediately. She catches Whitmore's eye and raises a finger. "Excuse me, I'm still waiting for my sparkling water." Whitmore's smile doesn't reach her eyes. "I'll get to you when I can." The deliberate emphasis on when doesn't go unnoticed. Meanwhile, Purser Michael Reynolds reviews the passenger manifest at the front of the plane. He pauses at Diana's name, noting her platinum status but failing to check additional details in her profile. Something about a tech company. He doesn't bother reading further. When Diana's drink finally arrives, it's still water, not sparkling. She points this out calmly. Whitmore rolls her eyes, not bothering to hide her annoyance. Is this really going to be a problem? Not at all, Diana replies with practiced restraint. But I would appreciate the correct order. Nearby passengers shift uncomfortably. The white businessman who got his scotch immediately requests a different brand. Whitmore replaces it with an apologetic smile before he even finishes speaking. Diana takes out her laptop to review tomorrow's presentation slides for United Airlines executives. The screen displays TravelSecure's logo prominently, alongside proprietary security algorithm diagrams. Whitmore passes by, glances at Diana's screen, and stops abruptly. "Excuse me," she says loudly enough for others to hear. "What are you working on?" "Just some work documents," Diana responds without looking up. "Those look like airline schematics," Whitmore says, her voice carrying accusation. "I'll need to see what you're working on." Diana closes her laptop calmly. "These are proprietary business materials. I'm not obligated to show you." Whitmore's face hardens. "Security concerns are taken very seriously on this aircraft." The businessman across the aisle, who has been watching the interaction, interjects. "She's just working. Leave her alone." Whitmore ignores him, focusing intently on Diana. "I'll need to see some additional identification." Diana takes a deep breath, considering whether to reveal her position now, but decides against it. "My boarding pass and ID were already verified. Twice." As the confrontation escalates, Diana makes a crucial decision. Document everything. The plane remains at the gate as Whitmore retreats to the front galley. Diana notices her speaking in hushed tones with Purser Reynolds, both occasionally glancing in her direction. Other passengers begin to shift restlessly, checking watches and phones as the departure time passes. Reynolds approaches with 2 security personnel flanking him. His face wears the artificial concern of someone who has already decided guilt. "Ma'am, we've been informed you're viewing sensitive materials and refuse to cooperate with our flight crew," Reynolds states, loud enough for nearby passengers to hear. Diana responds evenly, maintaining eye contact. "I was viewing my company's private documents for a business meeting tomorrow. I declined to show them because they contain confidential information." Reynolds remains unmoved. "Several passengers have expressed concerns about your behavior." Diana scans the cabin quickly. Besides Whitmore, no one appears concerned. Most seem confused or uncomfortable with the developing situation. "Which passengers?" Diana asks pointedly. "That's confidential," Reynolds replies with finality. "We need you to deplane for additional screening." Diana notices at least 3 passengers recording the interaction on their phones. Her humiliation burns beneath her composed exterior, but years of being the only black woman in boardrooms has taught her to never show it. "On what grounds, exactly?" she asks, her voice steady. "Security concern," Reynolds says flatly. "Either comply voluntarily or we'll have to use other measures." Diana weighs her options carefully. She could reveal her identity and purpose now, the CEO of TravelSecure meeting with United's executives tomorrow. But experience has taught her that power revealed too early loses its impact. Instead, she stands with dignity, collecting her belongings. "I'll comply, but I want it noted that I've done nothing wrong and I believe this is discriminatory treatment." As security escorts her through the cabin, Diana remains silent but hyper-aware. She mentally records every detail: names on badges, exact time, witness faces. Some passengers look away in shame. Others whisper behind hands. The businessman who defended her earlier shakes his head in disgust but offers no further assistance. In the jet bridge, Diana is subjected to additional questioning. The airport security officers are more professional than the flight crew, but the damage is done. Diana has been publicly humiliated. When she requests to be rebooked on the next flight to San Francisco, Reynolds informs her with barely concealed satisfaction that she's been placed on a 24-hour security hold for all United flights. "You can try again tomorrow, but I'd recommend another airline," he says, the suggestion carrying clear dismissal. Diana collects her luggage without argument. She maintains perfect composure, back straight and head high, until she reaches a private area in the terminal. Only then does she allow herself a single deep breath, not of defeat, but of resolve. The calm in her eyes isn't surrender. It's the stillness that precedes a calculated storm. As Diana takes a seat in the terminal lounge, she doesn't call a lawyer. She calls her executive assistant with 3 simple words. Activate Plan B. In a quiet corner of the airport lounge, Diana processes what just happened. Her hands shake slightly, not from fear but from controlled anger. This isn't her first encounter with discrimination, but perhaps the most consequential one. Diana sends a text to her executive assistant. Meeting location change. Prepare the Phoenix Protocol. She then calls Marcus Jenkins, her CFO and longtime friend. They just pulled me off the flight, she says quietly. Classic case of flying while black. What? Marcus's outrage fills the line. Should we call our lawyers? Go public? No, Diana replies, a new resolve crystallizing within her. We're going to handle this differently. Remember, United doesn't know who I am yet. They think I'm just coming in as a potential vendor. Diana's mind flashes through memories that shaped her journey. Graduating top of her class from MIT despite professors who doubted her abilities. Being mistaken for administrative staff at 3 different tech firms before founding Travel Secure. Deliberately letting her white male COO be the company's public face to avoid exactly these situations. Her revolutionary security algorithm makes her a power player in the airline industry. Something United is about to discover the hard way. Diana makes a series of decisive calls. First, to her COO. Delay signing anything with United tomorrow. Say I've been detained. Next, to her board chair. We may need to pivot our primary launch partner. United has revealed some cultural issues we need to consider. Finally, to a rival airline CEO she met at an industry conference last month. How quickly could you implement our system if United falls through? Throughout these calls, Diana speaks in measured tones, her composure perfect while her strategy forms with each word. Meanwhile, aboard the now departing flight, Whitmore and Reynolds congratulate themselves on handling the situation. Reynolds chuckles as he updates the flight log. First class isn't what it used to be, he says. Anyone can buy a ticket these days. Whitmore nods. Did you see her face when security arrived? Thought her fancy clothes would protect her? Back in the terminal, Diana books a hotel room and a flight on a competing airline for the morning. She requests the hotel's security footage of her arrival and exchanges contact information with 2 passengers from the flight who witnessed the incident and approached her afterward. In her hotel room, Diana reviews her presentation for tomorrow. The final slide shows United Airlines as Travel Secure's launch partner with the $3 million investment highlighted. She deletes it and types a new heading. Partner selection. Pending final evaluation. Diana stands before the mirror, studying her reflection. The woman looking back has navigated countless barriers with strategic patience. She straightens her shoulders and makes a silent vow. They chose the wrong passenger to humiliate today. Her phone buzzes with a message from Delta's innovation team, already eager to schedule a meeting. Diana allows herself the smallest smile of satisfaction. While United Airlines sleeps soundly, Diana orchestrates a corporate awakening they won't soon forget. Morning arrives crisp and clear. Diana enters United Airlines corporate headquarters in downtown Chicago, looking impeccable in a tailored power suit, midnight blue with subtle gold accents. Her hair is perfectly styled, her makeup flawless, her expression unreadable. The receptionist glances up, then immediately tries to direct her to a side waiting area. The vendor check-in is over. I have an executive meeting, Diana interrupts firmly, presenting her business card. Diana Matthews, CEO of Travel Secure. The receptionist's eyes widen slightly as recognition dawns. She hurriedly makes a call, her tone apologetic. Meanwhile, in the conference room upstairs, United's innovation team discusses the Travel Secure deal with anticipation. VP of Innovation Richard Warner gestures enthusiastically. This security system could put us years ahead of competitors. The CEO is sending her representative for final signatures today. I thought we were meeting with the CEO herself, says the chief technology officer. Apparently she's sending her COO instead. Some travel issue, Warner replies dismissively. When Diana enters the boardroom, confusion spreads across faces. Warner recovers first, extending his hand. There must be some mistake, he says with a forced smile. We're meeting with Travel Secure's leadership. Diana smiles coolly. I'm Diana Matthews, founder and CEO of Travel Secure. There's no mistake. She places her business card on the table with deliberate precision. The executives exchange glances, quickly rearranging their expressions from confusion to welcome. They haven't connected her to yesterday's incident. Diana proceeds with her presentation professionally. The technology demonstration impresses everyone. Her system detects cybersecurity vulnerabilities that competitors miss entirely. When they move to discuss implementation timelines, Diana becomes noticeably reserved. Before we proceed further, she says, her voice calm but carrying an undercurrent of steel, I need to address an incident that occurred yesterday on one of your flights. She plays a video from her phone, footage taken by another passenger showing her being escorted off the plane. This was me, yesterday, on flight UA1021. I was removed because your staff decided I didn't belong in first class. Warner's face drains of color as he recognizes the potential disaster sitting across from him. Other executives shift uncomfortably. Ms. Matthews, I had no idea. This is completely unacceptable. I'll personally ensure... Diana interrupts. I didn't come here for apologies. I came to inform you that Travel Secure is reconsidering our partnership. As Diana stands to leave, she delivers a parting shot. By the way, I have a meeting with Delta's executive team this afternoon. United's corporate offices erupt into panic the moment Diana exits the building. Warner frantically calls the airline's PR team and legal department, pacing the conference room. We have a situation. Potential discrimination against a major tech CEO who we're trying to secure a deal with, he explains, voice tight with stress. She has video. This could be a PR nightmare and cost us millions. The legal director's voice sharpens. Name? Flight number? Details, Richard. Meanwhile, Diana meets with her legal team at her hotel. They review her options methodically, file a formal discrimination complaint, go public with the story, leverage her position to force corporate change. All of the above. Let's start with option 3, Diana decides, studying the documents before her, but prepare for the others. At United, the internal investigation begins with urgency, typically reserved for aviation incidents. Security footage is reviewed from multiple angles. Flight attendant Whitmore and purser Reynolds are called in for questioning, both defensive and increasingly nervous. We were following protocol for suspicious behavior, Whitmore insists, arms crossed. She was looking at what appeared to be airline schematics and refused to explain. When shown Diana's executive profile and company information, Whitmore's confidence visibly crumbles. How were we supposed to know who she was? The HR director's response cuts like ice. The question is why her identity should matter at all. Every passenger deserves respect. Diana receives a call from United's CEO, James Harrison, personally apologizing and requesting a meeting to salvage the deal. His voice carries the practiced humility of a man unaccustomed to begging. Diana agrees to meet the following day, her tone giving away nothing. Simultaneously, Diana's communications team leaks carefully selected details to key industry insiders, not enough for public scandal, but enough that executives at competing airlines sense blood in the water. Her phone hasn't stopped ringing. That evening, Diana dines with Delta's chief innovation officer in a private room at Chicago's most exclusive restaurant. The conversation is direct. We're prepared to offer $3.5 million investment and priority implementation of Travel Secure's system, the CIO states, sliding a preliminary agreement across the table. We've always valued diversity at Delta, she adds pointedly, and we recognize true innovation when we see it. Diana reviews the document without committing. Your offer is compelling, I'll be making my decision within 48 hours. As competitors circle like sharks smelling blood in the water, United realizes this is no longer just about one incident. It's about survival. Morning News shows feature business segments speculating about TravelSecure's partnership decisions. CNBC's technology correspondent stands outside United's headquarters, microphone in hand. Industry analysts note that early implementation of TravelSecure's security system could give an airline a significant competitive advantage in an era of increasing cyber threats. Sources tell us United's deal is now in jeopardy following an incident involving TravelSecure's CEO. Diana arrives for her meeting with United CEO James Harrison, who has assembled his executive team, legal counsel, and diversity officers. The atmosphere in the room is tense, the strained silence of people who know they've made a costly mistake. Harrison begins with another rehearsed apology and quickly presents their response. Termination of Whitmore, suspension of Reynolds pending further review, mandatory company-wide sensitivity training, and a revised diversity initiative with quarterly progress reports. "We value your partnership, Ms. Matthews," Harrison says earnestly, leaning forward. "This incident doesn't reflect our company values." Diana listens impassively, her face revealing nothing. When Harrison finishes his prepared speech, she responds with measured precision. "Impressive reaction time, Mr. Harrison. But I'm curious. Would this response be the same if I were just an ordinary black passenger without a multi-million-dollar deal in my pocket?" The uncomfortable silence that follows answers her question more honestly than any words could. Diana continues, her voice calm but unyielding. "Your offer addresses the symptoms but not the disease. Here's my counteroffer." She slides a document across the table, outlining 4 non-negotiable terms. Creation of an independent passenger advocacy board with real authority to review incidents. Transparent reporting of discrimination complaints with quarterly public disclosure. Revised training focused on systemic bias, not just individual actions. A $5 million commitment to support STEM education for underrepresented minorities. Harrison reviews the document, unable to hide his discomfort. "This is extensive." "So was my humiliation," Diana replies evenly. Harrison asks for time to review with his team. Diana checks her watch with deliberate slowness. "You have until 5 p.m. After that, I'll be signing with one of your competitors." As Diana leaves, Harrison turns to his team with barely contained frustration. "Find out how much this incident has already cost us in market value." The answer comes quickly from his CFO. United's stock has dipped 2% on rumors of losing the TravelSecure deal. That's roughly $190 million in market capitalization. With the countdown clock ticking, Diana prepares for the most important power move of her career. As 5 p.m. approaches, Diana sits in her hotel suite surrounded by her executive team. Multiple offers from competing airlines are displayed on tablets around the room. Delta's offer now includes implementation priority and additional marketing support. American Airlines has entered the bidding with a surprisingly aggressive proposal. Even smaller carriers sense opportunity in United's misstep. Diana's phone remains silent. No call from United yet. "Should we proceed with Delta?" her COO asks, checking his watch. "Their offer is technically superior." "Wait," Diana says, watching the digital clock on her laptop with unwavering focus. At 4:58 p.m., Harrison calls. His voice carries the strain of a man unaccustomed to being cornered. "We've reviewed your terms. We can implement most of them, but the advocacy board with real authority is problematic for legal reasons. Our counsel suggests—" Diana interrupts. "I anticipated that response, Mr. Harrison. That's why the document includes specific legal frameworks that address those concerns. I suggest you find creative solutions. My technology can prevent millions in cybersecurity losses annually. My terms are ultimately less expensive than the alternative." Harrison hesitates, the sound of papers shuffling in the background. "We need more time to consider the full implications." "Time expired at 4:45, Diana reveals, her voice perfectly calm. I've already signed a preliminary agreement with Delta. The silence that follows speaks volumes. When Harrison finally responds, disbelief colors his voice. You can't be serious? After all our concessions? This was never just about concessions, Mr. Harrison. It was about recognizing a fundamental flaw in your corporate culture. Delta didn't just offer better terms, they demonstrated better values. The scene shifts to a press conference the following morning. The grand ballroom at the Ritz-Carlton gleams with camera lights. Diana stands at a podium with Delta's CEO. The atmosphere crackles with anticipation as cameras flash. Diana steps forward to speak, her composure absolute. Today marks not just a business decision, but a statement about values. As a black woman in tech, I've faced discrimination at every level. Yesterday, I experienced it as a passenger on United Airlines. The room erupts as reporters suddenly connect her to the videos circulating online, the calm black woman being escorted off a United flight. Diana waits for the noise to settle before continuing. I could have revealed my position immediately. I could have used my privilege as a CEO to avoid mistreatment, but that option isn't available to most people who face discrimination. She unveils Travel Secure's groundbreaking system while explaining how it will be implemented across Delta's entire fleet within 6 months. The $3.5 million investment is announced to appreciative murmurs. And in addition, Diana continues, commanding complete attention, Delta has committed to implementing passenger advocacy protocols that I believe should become industry standard. She outlines the framework that United rejected: independent oversight, transparent reporting, and structural accountability mechanisms. Delta's CEO nods along, clearly pleased with the positive reception. Cut to United's headquarters, where executives watch the press conference in stunned silence. The stock has dropped another 3% since market opening. Harrison's face is ashen. How did we miss this? He mutters. Back at the press conference, a reporter stands. Ms. Matthews, did you plan this all along? Was this a test for United? Diana smiles slightly, the first genuine expression she's allowed herself publicly since the incident. I didn't plan to be discriminated against, but I did choose how to respond to it. Sometimes the most powerful response isn't immediate outrage, it's strategic action. Another reporter calls out, Will you be taking legal action against United? My goal isn't punishment, it's progress, Diana responds. I'm more interested in systemic change than personal vengeance. The final question comes from a young black woman reporter in the third row. What message do you have for others who face similar treatment but don't have your position of power? Diana's expression softens for the first time. Document everything. Know your rights. Find allies when possible. And remember, sometimes success is the best revenge. She glances at her watch. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a flight to catch. On Delta, naturally. Laughter ripples through the room as Diana exits the stage, cameras following her every move. Her phone buzzes with notifications. The story has already gone viral. #flying. While Black and Diana Matthews are trending nationally, United's PR team scrambles to draft a response, but they already understand a fundamental truth. They're not just losing a business deal. They're becoming a case study in what happens when discrimination meets consequences. As Diana's revelation sends shockwaves through the airline industry, the true impact of her power move is about to extend far beyond United's boardroom. The fallout is immediate and far-reaching. United's stock continues its decline as flying while Black trends globally. Videos of Diana's removal have been viewed millions of times alongside her powerful press conference. Each new share brings fresh waves of public outrage. United scrambles to contain the damage. Their PR team releases a statement acknowledging the incident and outlining steps to address it. Essentially the same proposals they offered Diana, now framed as proactive measures. United Airlines is committed to creating an inclusive environment for all passengers. We are implementing comprehensive measures including enhanced training, transparent reporting of incidents, and a review of our security protocols. Diana's legal team sends a cease and desist letter within hours, pointing out that United's proactive measures were actually Diana's demands that they initially rejected. This forces United to issue a clarification, further damaging their credibility and making them appear dishonest as well as discriminatory. Inside United's Chicago headquarters, an emergency board meeting convenes. Harrison faces increasingly hostile questions from board members who've watched millions in shareholder value evaporate overnight. "How did no one recognize the CEO of Travel Secure?" demands one board member, jabbing his finger at a printout of Diana's profile. "Why wasn't her platinum status flagged for special treatment regardless?" asks another. "How could basic customer service protocols fail so spectacularly?" questions a third. Harrison has no satisfactory answers. The board chair's expression grows increasingly grim as they review the potential long-term damage. Board members express concern about shareholder lawsuits claiming leadership negligence led to significant financial damage. "This isn't just about one incident or one contract," the board chair summarizes. "This is about trust. Passengers are canceling bookings. Corporate accounts are reaching out with concerns." Meanwhile, industry analysts release projections on the long-term cost of United's mistake. Loss of Travel Secure's system gives Delta a significant competitive advantage in cybersecurity worth an estimated $12 to $15 million annually. Estimated $20 to $30 million in negative PR impact over the next quarter alone. Potential class action lawsuits from other passengers alleging similar discrimination. Decreased bookings already showing a 4% drop in the 24 hours since Diana's press conference. The scene shifts to Diana meeting with civil rights attorneys in her temporary office at Delta's Chicago hub. The lawyers explain that her case presents a unique opportunity. "Your documentation, the witnesses, the airline's contradictory statements, all of this makes for a landmark case," says lead attorney Elaine Washington. "We could establish important precedent for how airlines must handle discrimination complaints." Diana considers carefully, turning her water glass slowly. "I didn't set out to become the face of this issue. But if my position can create meaningful change..." She pauses, weighing the implications. What would the process involve? Washington outlines a strategy focusing not on monetary damages, but on structural reforms. Diana nods, taking notes. In contrast, we see flight attendant Whitmore being interviewed by a sympathetic right-wing commentator on a cable news show. She sits nervously in a studio, makeup failing to hide her strain. "I was just following security protocols," Whitmore insists. "I'm being made a scapegoat for political correctness." The interview backfires spectacularly when the host asks what specific behaviors made Diana suspicious. Whitmore struggles to identify anything concrete beyond, "She seemed out of place and was looking at documents I couldn't identify." "So nothing actually threatening?" the host clarifies, surprisingly direct. Whitmore's stumbling response becomes another viral clip by evening. Diana receives numerous offers, speaking engagements at prestigious conferences, book deals, even suggestions to consider political office. She declines most, focusing instead on using her leverage to create an airline passenger bill of rights with actual enforcement mechanisms. "This isn't about me," she tells her communications director. "It's about making sure the next person doesn't experience what I did." At Delta's headquarters, implementation of Diana's advocacy board begins with impressive speed. The diverse representatives, including civil rights experts, aviation professionals, and consumer advocates, are given genuine oversight authority. Other airlines, except United, begin approaching Diana about implementing similar measures proactively. United's legal team advises settling with Diana immediately and implementing her recommendations in full. But when they reach out, Diana isn't interested in financial compensation. "This was never about money," she tells them during a conference call. "It was about dignity and systemic change." The final blow comes when United's largest institutional investors request an emergency meeting with the board to discuss governance concerns, specifically citing the incident as evidence of deeper organizational problems. This situation reveals fundamental flaws in your corporate culture and risk management, states the representative from a major pension fund. Our fiduciary duty requires us to question whether current leadership can effectively address these issues. 2 weeks after the incident, Diana sits in a sunlit conference room at Travel Secure's San Francisco headquarters. Her executive team updates her on unexpected developments. Their company valuation has increased 15% since the incident. 3 major airlines have requested proposals. Job applications have surged, particularly from women and people of color seeking a company with demonstrated values. Sometimes principles and profits align perfectly, Diana observes, reviewing the numbers. That evening, Diana receives an unexpected call from Purser Reynolds. Unlike Whitmore, he's been reflecting deeply on his actions. "Ms. Matthews, you don't know me, but I was the purser on your flight," he begins tentatively. "I've been suspended, likely to be terminated, but that's not why I'm calling. I wanted to apologize personally." Diana listens silently as he continues. "I failed to question my own assumptions. I saw what I expected to see, rather than what was actually happening. I'm not asking for forgiveness or for you to intervene on my behalf. I just wanted you to know that you've made at least one person examine their biases." "Thank you for calling, Mr. Reynolds," Diana responds after a moment. "What will you do now?" "I'm enrolling in a diversity studies program," he says. "Maybe someday I can help train others to avoid my mistakes." Diana makes a note of his name. People capable of genuine reflection deserve second chances. As the media frenzy continues, Diana focuses on the work ahead. The incident has given her a platform she never sought but now intends to use effectively. Her legal team prepares for the Transportation Committee hearings where she'll testify, while her technical team works around the clock to perfect Delta's implementation of their security system. "We're setting the standard now," she tells her developers. "Excellence is the only option." As United struggles with leadership chaos and plummeting stock values, Diana prepares to testify before Congress about an issue far bigger than one flight. 6 weeks later, the marble corridors of Capitol Hill echo with anticipation. A congressional transportation subcommittee has convened hearings on discrimination in the airline industry. The chamber fills to capacity with media, industry representatives, and public observers. Diana arrives precisely on time, dressed in a structured charcoal suit that communicates seriousness of purpose. She's been called as an expert witness, alongside airline executives including United's Harrison, who looks significantly older than he did 6 weeks ago. Committee Chair Congresswoman Eleanor Martinez calls the session to order with a sharp gavel strike. "We're here to examine patterns of discriminatory practices in air transportation and their impact on the traveling public." Diana testifies first, delivering a measured account of her experience while connecting it to broader patterns. She presents data showing disturbing disparities in how airlines treat passengers of different backgrounds, statistics on removals, complaints, and resolution rates broken down by race, gender, and age. "This isn't about one incident or one airline," Diana emphasizes, her voice carrying throughout the chamber. "It's about an industry culture that too often views certain passengers as problems rather than customers." She outlines her proposed solutions: independent oversight, mandatory training, transparent reporting requirements, and meaningful penalties for violations. Several committee members nod in agreement. When Harrison testifies next, his testimony feels corporate and defensive. He relies heavily on prepared statements about United's commitment to diversity and their new initiatives. His eyes rarely meet the committee members' gazes. "United Airlines has always valued diversity," Harrison recites. "We deeply regret the isolated incident involving Ms. Matthews and have taken significant steps to ensure such misunderstandings don't occur again." The committee chair leans forward, her expression skeptical. "Mr. Harrison, if Ms. Matthews hadn't been a CEO with the power to take her business elsewhere, would your response have been the same?" Harrison fumbles. "We treat all discrimination complaints seriously." "That wasn't the question," Congresswoman Martinez persists. Would an ordinary passenger have received the same response? After an uncomfortable pause, probably not with the same urgency, Harrison admits reluctantly. The hearing continues with testimony from Purser Reynolds, who has since been terminated from United. Unlike Whitmore, who refused to appear, Reynolds shows genuine remorse. "I failed to question assumptions," he states directly. "I saw what I expected to see rather than what was actually happening." His testimony proves damaging to United but humanizes the systemic nature of the problem. Reynolds reveals that informal profiling is common practice despite official policies against it. "We were trained to look for suspicious behavior, but that training was filtered through our biases," Reynolds explains. "No one ever said to target minorities, but the examples and emphasis made the message clear." The committee announces plans to draft new legislation requiring airlines to track and publicly report incidents of passenger removal by demographic data, implement independent oversight for discrimination complaints, face significant penalties for verified cases of discrimination. After the hearing, cameras capture Harrison approaching Diana in the hallway. "You've made your point. You've won," he says, voice low but tension evident. "What more do you want?" Diana's response is calm but unflinching. "This was never about winning, Mr. Harrison. It was about fixing a broken system. Something you still don't seem to understand." As they part ways, a United board member intercepts Harrison with a grim expression. The board has called an emergency session to discuss leadership changes. 1 week later, United announces Harrison's retirement effective immediately. The press release cites his desire to spend more time with family and pursue personal interests. Industry insiders recognize the standard language of forced departure. United's new CEO is announced simultaneously. Dr. Vivian Carter, a black woman with experience in both aviation and civil rights law, who previously served as general counsel for the FAA. Her first official action is to reach out to Diana about implementing the passenger advocacy protocols Diana originally proposed. "We need to rebuild trust," Dr. Carter tells Diana during their first call. "Not just with you, but with all our passengers. I believe your framework is the right place to start." Diana agrees to provide consultation but makes her position clear. Real change requires more than new policies. It requires new perspectives at every level. The markets respond positively to United's leadership change. The stock begins a slow recovery as Dr. Carter outlines her vision for transforming United's culture. As one chapter closes with United's leadership overhaul, Diana faces an unexpected opportunity to transform air travel for everyone. 3 months later, Diana stands at the podium of the International Aviation Conference in Singapore. The industry's most influential leaders fill the audience, their attention absolute as she delivers the keynote address. The airline industry has undergone significant changes in the wake of her case and the subsequent legislation. Digital screens behind Diana display headlines from major business publications. Delta reports 15% increase in customer satisfaction after implementing Matthew's protocol. United rebuilds under new leadership. Diversity metrics show improvement. FAA adopts new passenger rights regulations following congressional action. Diana's Travel Secure has evolved beyond its initial cybersecurity focus. The company now includes bias detection algorithms that flag potential discrimination patterns in passenger treatment, identifying statistical anomalies in how different demographic groups experience service, upgrades, and security checks. The system has been implemented by Delta, Southwest, and 3 international carriers. Technology alone can't solve human problems, Diana tells the audience, but it can illuminate patterns we might otherwise miss and hold us accountable to our stated values. United, under Dr. Carter's leadership, has approached Diana about implementing both her security system and bias detection technology. They're offering a premium price and public acknowledgement of past failures, a remarkable turnaround from just months ago. During a panel discussion following her speech, airline executives discussed the measurable benefits of the new approaches with surprising candor. We've seen a 23% reduction in passenger complaints, shares Delta's chief customer officer. But more importantly, our employees report higher job satisfaction. Nobody wants to work in a system that encourages them to treat people unfairly. Southwest's representative adds, the operational efficiencies from standardized, bias-free protocols have actually reduced our boarding times and improved on-time performance. Diana participates in the discussion, but doesn't dominate it, allowing industry leaders to take ownership of the changes. She notes that what began as a personal humiliation has evolved into an industry-wide reckoning and reformation. In a private moment between sessions, Diana meets United's new CEO, Dr. Carter, face-to-face for the first time. Carter extends her hand with genuine respect. Your stand didn't just change United. It's changing aviation, she acknowledges. We still have a long way to go, but the direction is clear. Diana accepts the handshake. Change is rarely comfortable, but often necessary. Later, walking through Singapore's Changi Airport for her return flight, Diana observes the subtle shifts already visible in airline operations. Gate agents interact with passengers with new awareness. Security personnel apply protocols more consistently across all travelers. Training sessions occur visibly in airport meeting rooms. What gives Diana the most satisfaction isn't the success of her company or personal vindication, but watching ordinary passengers of all backgrounds being treated with consistent respect. A black family receives the same courteous attention as a white business traveler. An elderly Asian woman is offered assistance without condescension. When asked by a reporter if she'll accept United's offer to implement her systems, Diana smiles. Let's just say I believe in second chances, with proper accountability. The reporter persists. Even after everything that happened? Especially after everything that happened, Diana responds. Progress doesn't come from permanent exclusion, it comes from transformation. As Diana boards her flight, on United for the first time since the incident, she wonders if the changes will truly last, or if vigilance will always be necessary. Calm epilogue, plus moral, 640 words. 1 year later, Diana sits in first class on a United flight from San Francisco to Chicago. The cabin crew is noticeably diverse. The flight attendant serving her section, a young man named Miguel, is professional and warm with all passengers, providing the same attentive service regardless of appearance or status. Diana works quietly on her laptop, reviewing TravelSecure's latest quarterly results. The company has tripled in size, now providing comprehensive security and equity monitoring systems to airlines worldwide. What began as a cybersecurity solution has evolved into something more fundamental, a way to measure and ensure fairness in complex systems. As she types, Diana overhears a conversation between two flight attendants discussing a potential issue with a passenger. One suggests immediate escalation, but the other reminds them of protocol. Let's check our assumptions and follow the Matthews checklist, the senior attendant says. Is the behavior actually disruptive or just unexpected? Have we applied the same standard to other passengers? Diana smiles to herself. Real change has taken root, though she knows it requires constant nurturing. The Matthews checklist has become standard industry terminology, a simple but powerful tool for interrupting bias before it affects decisions. After landing, Diana meets with a group of young entrepreneurs of color who have invited her to speak about her experience building TravelSecure and standing up to discrimination. The meeting takes place in a sleek co-working space overlooking Chicago's river, the same city where her ordeal began. Rather than focusing solely on the incident, Diana emphasizes her journey as an innovator and the importance of preparation meeting opportunity. When that moment happened, I had options because I'd built something valuable, she explains, her voice carrying quiet authority. My leverage wasn't just my identity, it was what I could offer or withhold. Build something necessary and you'll never be unnecessary. A young woman in the front row raises her hand. Her question cuts to the heart of the matter. Do you believe things have truly changed, or are people just being careful around those with power? Diana considers thoughtfully before responding. Both are true. Systems change slowly, and vigilance is always necessary. But creating consequences for discrimination and rewards for inclusion does shift behavior. Over time, shifted behavior becomes culture. She pauses, making eye contact with each person in the room. The goal isn't a world where people with power are treated well. It's a world where everyone is treated with dignity regardless of perceived power. The scene shifts to Diana's office back in San Francisco, where she reviews the quarterly report on airline compliance with the new regulations. Most carriers show steady improvement, though some regional airlines lag behind. Her assistant interrupts with a call. United's CEO is on the line. Dr. Carter explains that they've identified a pattern in their system that might indicate unconscious bias in upgrade decisions. They've caught it early, thanks to Diana's monitoring system, and want her team's input before it becomes problematic. Diana takes the call, noting the proactive approach with satisfaction. This is the real victory. Prevention rather than reaction. Systems designed to catch bias before it affects real people. The final scene shows Diana boarding another flight. No special treatment, no drama, just the routine respect every passenger deserves. As she settles into her seat, she notices a young black girl watching her with recognition and admiration from across the aisle. Diana smiles and nods to her. The girl straightens her posture slightly, confidence visibly growing in her expression. Your dignity is non-negotiable, Diana thinks, echoing the closing line from her recent TED Talk. Your response is your power. The plane accelerates down the runway and lifts into the clear blue sky, moving forward as progress always must. Every day, people face discrimination without the leverage Diana had. But as her story shows, systems only remain broken when we agree to participate in them without question. If you enjoyed this story of accountability in action, help us spread these important messages. Like and subscribe to Beat Stories. Each week, we bring you real accounts of people who refuse to accept mistreatment as normal.